Personnel Committee meeting for January 12, 2022. So the third order is to call to the order to the meeting, and we have quorum. The second is approval of the minutes for the November 10th, 2021 Personnel Committee meeting. Do I have a motion? Any question? Comments? Okay, here none. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Nays, the motion is approved. Second, third is public appearances for non-agenda items. Do we have anyone online? Chambers? No. No. Thank you. And then we move to the agenda item for today. The first item. Do we need to vote for this, or with discussion?
Yeah, so all of these we need your vote for. So we can't move forward with the recruitments until all of you approve.
Okay. So I move approval of the reclassification of a cable operation assistant into a new classification of media producer.
So this is a really exciting reclassification. So
I need a second.
Oh, my bad.
Second.
Okay, now.
All right, so this is a very exciting position. We had a LTE operations assistant. His name's Chad Cole. He's actually helping us today with this meeting, and he's been with us since 2011 on the LTE schedule, and he has been ineligible for some of our benefits because of being on the schedule. He's obviously a permanent employee. He's been with us since 2011. In the 2022 budget, we did approve the opportunity for him to move into the non-represented pay plan, which means that he can be eligible for benefits as he continues to be permanent with us. So what we're looking to do is create a brand new position. We would call it a media producer. Our compensation consultant studied the position and found it to be in pay grade B of the non-represented pay plan. And so we would look to reclassify Chad into this position effective the pay period that follows the personnel committee. To give you just a summary of how the position studies work, we provide a job description questionnaire to Carlson Detman, who is our compensation consultant. And then they study the position. They use a point factor system and apply points to figure out which pay grade they go in the pay plan. So after going through that process, they found it to be in pay grade B. So if you have any questions about that process, more than happy to supply some more information. But you'll see in the packet, there's the job description, the questionnaire, and then their recommendation. And so Jeremy's here too, if you have any questions about what a media producer does. These are the duties he's been doing this whole time. So we're not looking at putting brand new things on his plate, or he already fits this job description.
I have a question. So here in the job description, or is in the job position, you say that it's a part-time position?
Correct.
Oh, he's a part-time. Okay.
Permanent part-time position. So he'll be working at least 20 hours per week.
Okay. So do you need to work 20 hours only to get it? Is he getting the full benefit?
He'll be eligible for benefits. So that includes health insurance, Wisconsin. He's already in Wisconsin retirement because he's worked so many hours with us. And so he'll be eligible for lower premiums in his health insurance because he's going to be, he'll be on a permanent FTE schedule. He'll have disability coverage, life insurance. He'll be eligible for dental and vision if he chooses that. So even holidays, he wasn't getting holiday time or vacation time, personal days, all of that. So he'll be eligible for that now.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, and as a reminder, this was all approved in the 2022 budget. So we have this budgeted.
But it's only 20 hours a week.
Correct.
No more than that.
No more than 20 hours per week.
And do you think, Jeremy, in the future, this position will grow to be more like a full-time position?
Well, I think that's kind of why we brought this up in the 22 budget. We want to look at this in two phases. One, we want to have a better recruiting tool. So if this position ever becomes vacant, I think it's going to be hard for us to get somebody in at an LTE and not give them stepping stones. So where Chad has been, he should have been in a stepping stones to move up as positions if they do come available, or his position. So this gives us a stepping stone in that way. In our 5-year plan and 10 years out, we're working on that and with Chad down the road for sure. But at this point, not in the near future will this go full time. Could I see it going full time down the road? Certainly, but definitely where we stand today, part time, getting this position in that classification. Not just because of how wonderful Chad is and everything's done, but the stepping stone process. This will help be in line with moving people that come into our department up the chain as well. So Chad is, and Fact TV, as you know, I mean, in 2010 started a full rebuild from scratch. So Chad I've started in 2010 myself. Chad has been there alongside it with me this whole time in the rebuild, and throughout the years we've changed the position and keep adapting the position to better fit the needs of Fact TV and what we think council wants us to do. So I think that's how we got to today, and then moving forward, as more roles come in and what Chad sees us doing in the future and stuff, those will all play out when we want to make and bring up more employees. We didn't have anybody, by the way, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, Town of Madison, we didn't bring any additional resources in at this time for the town piece. So not related to that. This is definitely just part of our overall stepping stone.
Okay, I think this is great. So any other question?
Just wanted to say it sounds like a great change, something that's overdue, and sounds great.
Very excited.
Okay, any other question? Comments? No? Okay, so all those in favor of approving this reclassification, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays. The motion carries. So, okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Jeremy.
So next, I move to approval of the adding a new classification of the GIS coordinator.
Yeah, so we have another brand new position.
Second.
Oh, yeah. Did I do it again?
I move approval.
Thank you, Gabriella. Thank you, Julia. All right, so we have another brand new position, GIS coordinator. This is a really exciting new position that was budgeted in the 2022 budget. This would reside in the IT department and would be a GIS source for the entire city. So it wouldn't necessarily just serve IT, but all city departments. This is a position that we're definitely in need of. I've got Matt here to talk about maybe any specific questions you have regarding it. When we sent the job description and the job description questionnaire to Carlson Detman, they came back with the recommendation that it should be in pay grade J, which is in line with the law enforcement data analyst. And that was what their point factor system came to. So we would look at doing an open and competitive recruitment if it gets approved tonight. So we would post it, blast it out everywhere, and hope that we get a lot of applicants. So that is the GIS specialist. If you have any specific questions related to the everyday job duties, I've got Matt here to answer those.
Yeah, I have a question. I don't know, Gabriela, do you have a question?
You go first.
Okay.
I do.
So hi, Matt. My question is about the education for this position, because it's kind of like they said bachelor degree from a college or university in GIS, geography, computer science, or related field required. So, and you're asking for at least 3 years of experience and blah, blah, blah. So this one is more like, I was confused because I thought that this position was more for the planning department, but it's more in the IT department. So, and then looking at the education is, do you think that you're gonna be able to have, if someone with a bachelor degree can have that IT background, or, I don't know.
Good afternoon. So we actually have had a lot of conversations in the last couple of weeks about this. The GIS position is a very specific skill set. And so that's part of the reason why we have a bachelor's degree required, and we would expect that bachelor's degree will be likely in GIS. It may not be if you've had a lot of experience with GIS with some other combination of education. We talked a lot about that 3 years of experience. We're hoping, we kept it at 3 years because we're hoping to maybe attract some candidates who are looking for some upward mobility, maybe, you know, candidates who are working for the state right now, maybe working for one of the other municipalities in the area. You know, we're looking for somebody who's motivated, who's interested in getting involved and really building the GIS program here in the city. It's I wouldn't say it's IT specific, because IT department, we don't really use mapping very much. We support the other departments that do. Julia, you mentioned planning. Planning uses it, but I would say public works and utility is probably the largest user. It's also used in our public safety departments. It's used all over the organization. So we decided to put it in the IT department because we are a service department. We provide service to all of the other departments, and it seemed like an appropriate place for us to do that.
Gabriela.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think this is a really exciting position. My background's in geology, so I actually know quite a lot of people that went into GIS exclusively as a field, you know, starting in geology. So I know that these people exist, and it's a very specialized skill set. I also know that, you know, it's so important in so many different aspects of the city, and I can't imagine how many people are struggling through GIS work right now, sucking up a lot of their time that they could be using on the things that the specialty that they're more attuned to, and then they can give that work to somebody that really, because GIS experts can move through this stuff really quickly. They can pump out work like crazy. So I think this is great for the city. I'm really excited to see who we fill this position with. One question for you is, because we now have acquired a drone, or will very soon, is that something that you're hoping that this position could be one of the operators of the drone, or is that going to be a totally separate consideration?
We actually talked about that. I talked to Jeremy Crosby about that fairly recently. Whether the person in this position is going to be an operator will you know, remain to be seen based on their interest level, but there's absolutely an opportunity there. You know, we're building this from the ground up, and so we're, you know, completely open to any function or any area in the city that could be beneficial, and drone is certainly one of those opportunities.
Is there any reason why you wouldn't want to include it as like a desirable but not required characteristic on the job posting? I don't know if there's any usefulness to that, just that I'd ask.
I guess the only thing I would say is it's probably, I'm not sure that what a candidate would bring to us if they had drone experience. That would be really unique. You know, when we wrote the job description, we're trying to bring in as many candidates as we can. We're trying to be as wide as we can with that. I see a drone operator as maybe something that would more restrict the job description. Everybody in the city who's going to be a drone operator is going to get trained, because we don't really have any right now. And the timing of this will probably work out pretty well if we decide that this position should be a drone operator. They'll be coming in right around the same time we're looking at that training anyway.
Oh, I have another question related that, you know, how are you planning to share this person, the workflow or the workload that is going to be shared with the different department? Everything had to go through you, Matt, and then, because I assume that everyone would like to, or chat, I don't know. So you're going to have like, you know, this position it's going to have like a allocation of time per department, or it's going to be kind of like a help desk, you know, ticket that, you know, I don't know.
It's going to be a combination of those things. And I think that we're going to model it to a certain extent on our law enforcement data analyst, who shared among 5 communities. It's a combination of those things that need to get, you know, fixed or rapidly turned around. That's kind of the help desk functionality of it. We'll also be looking at larger scale projects and trying to prioritize those. I don't intend to stand in between all of the requests and this person. I think that this person, you know, will be responsible for determining their workload. One of the nice things and one of the reasons and justifications for this position is we think that, you know, a certain amount of their work can benefit multiple departments. And so part of the prioritization process is for this person to look at all of those various requirements and the workload that they have and identify those things that can be most beneficial to most departments and really triage in that manner. But ultimately, you know, I'll be there to direct if that becomes necessary, and I'm sure it will at times. Things will become priorities and we'll have to make those decisions. Again, we had a lot of those conversations internally, and it's part of the reason why I went to the IT department, because we don't have our own workload for GIS. So it's not like I could trump another, you know, agency's or another department's request because I have something that I feel is more important for our department. We don't have those requirements. Whereas maybe, you know, another department who has GIS requirements may want their requirements fulfilled first before another department.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah. Okay, Gabriela.
Oh, I just lost what I was going to say. I'll come back to me later.
This is your opportunity. I don't know, Joe, do you have a question?
No, I don't have
sorry, I did.
Okay.
I know that some engineering interns come through the Public Works Department pretty regularly, and I do imagine that some of those use GIS in some capacity. Do you see this position as somebody that can be a part-time mentor for some of those interns that might want some GIS experience, since this person will be that expert for the city?
Absolutely. I would say not just for interns, but even for you know, regular staff. The position is titled a coordinator, and part of the reason it's titled a coordinator is because they won't be doing 100% of our GIS work. There will still be GIS work being accomplished in all of our departments. Over time, I think that some of that will diminish as things get shifted to this position. But absolutely, you know, as those interns come through, or even as full-time regular staff come through, they'll still be involved in our GIS efforts.
And I was surprised to see in the job description that even though there is a very specific niche, you know what I mean, like for this experience, that there is no requirement for any certification.
There isn't. Again, trying to attract as many candidates as we can. We didn't want to limit on something as specific as that.
But there are some certification in this field, isn't it?
There are certain, particularly like the software vendor. Esri has kind of the monopoly. Esri is the name of the company, and they have certifications and training and things of that nature. Absolutely.
Okay. Any other question? Or Gabriela?
Just one quick comment. I mean, it would be interesting. I know that based on my conversations with Claudia, that some of that GIS data that exists and overlays of maps is available publicly to the public now through the website. I don't know how, I imagine that that's not very well known at this point, but it's, you know, I understand it's a new capability. But anyway, just a comment that it would be cool to think about all this, the potential new work that this person is doing, with an eye towards if we can share some of this with the public and have them a better understanding of the city. Just something long-term for this position to be like in the background, thinking about how we can use this to increase public understanding.
Absolutely, and that's it won't actually be in the background. That's going to be one of the big parts of this position, is collecting all of this data that we have all over the organization and making sure it's in a format that we can share it. We can share it publicly, and we can share it in a way that makes sense to our citizens who are viewing it online.
Okay, I think we are done with the questions, so and comments. So all those in favor of approving this new classification of the GIS coordinator, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays. This position is approved. So thank you, Matt.
Thank you, everyone.
So next, I need a motion to approve a new classification of the administrative clerk.
I move approval.
Second.
Okay. Sarah.
All righty. Adding a brand new administrative clerk position. This is a brand new first time ever for the city of Fitchburg. This would be a shared position between various city departments. So you think about some of the busy times we have here with elections or assessing or in the finance department. We have a lot of peak times and we need a lot of assistance. So what this position would do is be able to assist these different departments with whatever they have, whether it's helping out with reception, calling people, mass mailings, data entry. It's quite the variety. So we have a brand new job description put together. It was sent to Carlson for review. It would be in the Human Resources Department, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to help the HR department entirely. There'll be moments throughout the year that they'll be able to help, and I can't wait for that. But ultimately, this is a shared position through for all city departments that need administrative help. So they found this position to be in pay grade C. You'll see the qualifications. We're not looking for someone with a college degree. We're not looking for someone with, many years of experience. We will definitely train. We just need somebody who's comfortable being in front of a computer and would be willing to learn different software programs and learn different processes in different departments. And that really likes the variety of work because, every week will be a little different. So we're really excited. This would be a completely open and competitive posting that, we would cast out far and hope that we get a lot of applicants for.
Is this one a part-time or full-time position?
The full-time position. Yep. And this was also in the 2022 budget.
Mm-hmm.
Remind me of the pay.
Oh,
yeah. So he is going to be starting at $18.66 per hour up to $21.32 per hour. That's the hiring range. And excellent benefits, Wisconsin retirement or health, or life disability, everything. And then, there's always that opportunity that, they get to know certain departments and then those departments have openings. This could be, a way for someone to come into the city and join the assessing department because they've had experience and they enjoy that field. So it's a great entry-level starter position for someone who is brand new into government or maybe has government experience, is just looking for a new opportunity. So I'm really excited.
My question to you is because it's going to be a shared position. Do we have other shared position in the city right now? Yes. So we know how to manage those positions because, we don't want any department to monopolize the person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we do. Like our law enforcement data analyst, for example, in IT, we do have multiple positions here at the city that are shared.
Okay.
I don't have a listing of all of them, but, we do have that. So we would be able to manage that. Just like how Matt Pro was talking about, giving them some flexibility, but then having to spend at times to help prioritize or figure out what department they're going to help out with. I would see the same happening in the HR department. So,
when we say all the departments, does include fire, police, senior center, or is more like departments in the city hall?
It's more like departments in the city hall. Although if there was a peak time and a department really needed assistance, I'm sure that we could try to make something work. It's primarily created because we struggle so much in the assessing, clerk department, finance during those really peak busy times throughout.
I have okay, Gabriela, go ahead.
A couple of things. Number one, when I'm looking through the job description, is this person going to have to have some availability in the evenings and the weekends to fulfill some of those requirements? And I don't see that listed anywhere in the requirement. Is this expected to be kind of a 9 to 5 or 8 to 4?
Yeah, so not necessarily. We didn't really talk about that. We don't have that listed on the job description. So I anticipated it would just be daytime hours, that they wouldn't need to be available during evenings or weekends. Okay. I don't think that'll come up a lot, but I mean, I realize, election, for example, if they're helping out with that. There may be some after hours. That would be something that we work out with them if they wanted to do that. Nothing we would require. That. And Chad, feel free to speak up if you think that, you know, that is something we should add and it should be an expectation.
Well, you bring up a good point, Gabriella, and I think that if the Personnel Committee wants to authorize an adjustment to the position description to at least include that as a possibility, you know, that it does at least gives the city some flexibility to potentially schedule that on an as-needed basis, you know, depending on what the needs of the city are, and with communication, of course, with the employee, I think would be helpful.
Okay, well, I can make a motion then to give you the ability to add that if you so choose before this is released to the public.
Yeah, thank you. And I will also just add a couple other points. Sarah has covered it remarkably, and as has Matt, as it relates to the GIS position. But both of those positions were placed where they were placed for a reason. Largely because both IT and HR are internal service related departments. And we wanted to be very cognizant of what the very point you brought up, Julia, is one department either monopolizing or potentially having the perception of being able to monopolize one of these two positions' time. So that's why through our internal conversations here at City Hall, we came up with the departments in which they were placed with, in order to try to minimize the potential for those sorts of things to happen.
Yeah, it make a good point, because one of my questions that I was planning to ask, because of the title of the position, is why is not this person in the clerk department? You know what I mean? My other question is, because we have a municipal court too, so we are going to share this position with the municipal court too, or this is a totally different department? You know what I mean? I don't know. I ask you because maybe you can. I don't know.
I mean, I suppose it's possible. I mean, it is
Okay.
it is available to assist
Everyone?
any department, and I could see situations, you know, where there's a vacancy in a full-time position in another department, where this position could be able to at least pinch hit for a period of time, for at least for high priority tasks in a department where there might be a vacancy in the short term. So, I mean, it's really available potentially to any department throughout the city. Obviously, you know, if we talk like the police department, there's some trainings that would need to be required to be able to access law enforcement data and those sorts of things. So that might not be as quick of a shift as it would be through other more administrative type functions throughout city halls. So, but again, that's the value of, I think, having this supervised by Sarah. You know, Sarah's in tune with all of the particular department heads and what might be happening within their department, and as well as, you know, obviously probably having a mental calendar coming up as she supervises this role of when each department's particular busy time might be each calendar year. So I think that it's just going to be a key is going to be communication with Sarah from the department heads to say, hey, I could really use help with X, Y, or Z next month or next week or today, because we had somebody who's test positive for COVID. You know, so that's really going to be this position, I think, is going to be one of those positions we look back at in a few years, particularly after Sarah's had the opportunity to spend some time and get to know the capabilities of the position and the owner and more of where this position is needed, and say, how did we ever survive without this position? And I really see some potential for, you know, down the road, if we truly feel that this becomes successful, is do we look to add a second float into the city operations? Again, that helps really benefit many, many departments that may not have the ability to justify a full-time position in their own specific department.
Yeah, I may comment before I forget, Gabriel. My recommendation is, I am sure that you have thought about this, is to have like a good process of how people are going to request for this person, because I can see it in my work too. Sometimes people go directly to that person, and that person sometimes it's like a head of department come and say, hey, can you do this project? They are afraid to say no to a head of department. You know what I mean? And then that person should, already has something, another priority on the plate, but you know what I mean? So I can see that if we don't, you guys, I assume that you already have this in place, that to create like a process of,
No, I agree with you. That would be a concern. And yeah, definitely we want to have a strong process in place so that the incumbent understands too, what am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to be helping out today? So
exactly, who should I follow? Because maybe Chad come and say, hey, drop everything, I want this to do that. But maybe she has a project with other, but she said, he's a city administrator. I can say no, you know what I mean?
uh-huh.
So. Okay, Gabriela.
Yeah, I'm just thinking a little bit more because, like, in addition to clarifying that there might be some weekend and evening hours expected, it would be interesting to kind of really think about what those, because you already have a list of the peak seasons, right? There's assessing and there's property tax collection and there's elections. There are kind of windows of time when it would be inconvenient if this person wasn't available to the city, because the point is to alleviate some of the pressure on the departments. And I know that there are other positions, like I had a friend that worked for Wisconsin Public Television, and there were certain time periods when they really couldn't leave because there were campaigns going on, and they understood that going in to the position during the interview process. I think it would be worthwhile to think about what those seasons are and make that clear in the interview process, because if someone is never available during the fall election, that I see that as being a problem with a hire, and maybe a decision point about who we would choose, one versus another person. And they should be aware that there are some periods of time that really are non-negotiable in terms of your availability. Something to just think about.
I love that. It's a great interview question for sure.
We do that here in some of our position, especially the tax group, where sometimes it's like the first 4 months of the year. There are high expectations that you cannot take vacation. You maybe working longer hour, or maybe they put some time working on Saturday. It's needed. You know what I mean? So they know that it's tax season. We have 4 months to do a lot of work. Maybe you need to come to work on Saturday. You know what I mean? So so there is an expectation of, depending on the position that you have in the company, because of the seasonality of the work. You know what I mean?
Very good point.
Okay, so we are going to make any amendment, Gabriela, or no?
Yeah, I think I made a motion already to add clarification about evening, weekend time, or any other sorts of other clarifications about timing that needs to be added to the posting.
Any other question, comment, Joe?
No, I don't. It's I think the piece on narrowing down and understanding people's schedules is critical to making sure that the position, whoever we hire, is successful.
Okay, so all of in favor of adding the new classification of administrative clerk with the amendment that Gabriela proposed, say aye.
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 Aye. Nays. Okay, the position is approved. So next in announcement, Sarah, you mentioned that maybe we need to have a February meeting.
Yeah, so I'm looking to see if we can put together a February meeting, and this would be for two specific reasons. One of them is to get the Assistant Public Works Director approved by you as far as the job description and the placement and the pay plan, so that we can actually start the recruitment. We weren't ready for the January one with that one. And then also we're going to be starting our summer seasonal recruitments, and we're really worried about how many applicants we're going to get. Last summer, we had very few applicants for our open public works and recreation positions. So we're looking at potentially bringing to you a $500 sign-on bonus per seasonal position. And again, this would just be seasonal, and this would be a short-term solution as we look at adjusting the pay in the 2023 budget. So there's about 11 or 12 seasonal positions that we would be looking at this for. And the way it would work, it would be $500 halfway through the season, and then or $250 halfway through the season, and $250 at the end of the season. So just trying to think of creative ways to get more applicants, because we know we're going to struggle.
I have another question to you. Here at Wagner, we have a referral program. So if employee refers people to the, to the company, and it depends on the position, we have they give you like a bonus, okay? Not like a bonus, they give you like a referral fee, it start at $5,000, senior and supervisor go up to $10,000. So we increased that in the last 2 years, we had to do that. But this is another tool that we have, because sometimes we have position and we cannot find people, and we say to, people, friends that work in other company, they are happy. Remember that we have this referral program, It's another way to make incentivize the personnel, the staff, if they know people, and if they bring something and is hired, they receive something, you know what I mean? So they do like a 2 split, one if when 30 days, after 30 days, the person is working, and then 6 months after, so they don't give you the whole money. But I don't know, maybe it's something that we need to think about. I don't know, now that
Yeah,
do you have something like that or no?
Yeah, we don't have anything like a referral sign-on or a referral bonus, but I love that idea. And I have experience with that at my first HR gig, and it works really well. It wasn't $5,000 or $10,000. It was more like $500 where I worked, but we were a not-for-profit company. But it worked. I mean, people loved getting that referral bonus, and it's a great tool to incentivize, employees to reach out and network and get people to come on. So yeah, maybe that's something for future.
You don't have to comment on this, Julia, but are people sharing a portion of that $5,000 or $10,000 with the person that they recruited to the company?
But it was, believe me, I think they increased it lately, in the last 2 years, because when we have that, we are having some issues to recruit an accountant. There are less people going to the industry to study, and there are a lot of retirement. So there is, we need something to, to motivate that, to the people. And it works, we're very successful, and the hiring of the people have been very successful too, so. I don't know, I am thinking maybe I don't know, it could be another, now that it's very hard to find people, the unemployment rate is so low, and, and so. Another way. Okay. So what is any other announcement?
Yeah, I wanted to announce that we have a new planning director. So I had sent an email out too, but for those watching, her name is Deanna Schmidt, and she will be starting on January 31st. She comes from the city of Pasadena, Texas, and she's the planning director there. She will be phenomenal here. We're really excited. In the same breath, we're losing Lisa Mcnabola. She just gained a position as a planner for the city of Madison. So unfortunately,
really?
So unfortunately, you'll see her position posted this week. I'm working on the draft posting right now. So she's announced it, so it's public, it's okay. But yeah, it'll be a huge loss for us, because Lisa's been really great here.
So which position is Lisa? Lisa is an assistant. What is her position?
Right now, she's the interim director. And so her current title is associate planner. So that's then you'll see posted. Yeah.
Oh my God. So now you need to look for another. It's like an evidence.
Yep. There is going to be a ton of postings up. Like there's already a lot up right now. And by the end of next week, we'll have even more. So it's a great time to refer people to work for the city of Fitchburg, because there's some really great opportunities.
Do you have a referral system?
Yeah. You want to prove one right now?
But I think it's something that we need to consider. I don't know if you have to have council approval. I think so, because it has a monetary, implication. But I think maybe it's something that this personnel committee can put together. I don't know.
You can bring some ideas. I can talk to
Misty. Ideas, you know.
Yep. Yep.
You always have plenty of ideas.
And that's all I've got
Okay.
for announcements.
Any other, so maybe, so you will, so we need to think about that. Maybe there is going to be a meeting in February. Okay.
Yeah, so
that's
I'll
fine.
reach out to all of you about a potential date, but
Mhm.
potentially early February would be ideal if that's a possibility. I realize that that'll be here before you know it already, but
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Any other comments? No. Most of the people are working remotely now, and because of the last email that you sent, Sarah.
there's a lot of people still working remotely, but there's
Yeah.
still quite a few that have to come in because their
Mhm.
position doesn't allow for the telework.
Yeah.
We're providing, we've got 800 masks on the way. There are N95s and the surgicals, and we've got tons of antibacterial wipes. So we have some on hand right now too, but we're just trying to stack up. So we're just trying to keep it as safe as possible. I know we started fogging again, and just encouraging people that if you have symptoms, just stay home. If you have a sore throat, don't bother coming in, just stay home, and go get tested, and just trying to keep it safe as possible.
And also, I think it's going to be safe also for the meetings with commissions, you know what I mean, to have those meetings remotely, and it will be a good, and also if we have, how to, for people that they don't show up, we don't want people to show up at City Hall when they don't need to be there, but how to promote those online, that, to watch the meetings via Zoom or, so.
Exactly. I mean, just in today, I've had 5 employees test positive, and that's just today. So we have it, it's really spreading. Just trying to keep people as virtual as possible is really important.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we are at the end of the meeting. So I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye.
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 Nays, the motion is approved. So we see you maybe in February, okay? Have a nice day.